There's a ton of myths flying around about video games. So today, gameranx is going to take you through 10 video game myths investigated. Number 10, the mystery of Mew. Now, Pokemon is ripe for rumors because there's a ton of secrets in the games. But in Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, Mew, the 151st Pokemon, was only ever officially available through special distribution events. Now, if you had a Game Shark, that wasn't the case. You could have Mew whenever you wanted. But there were some people who just wanted to believe. Those folks came up with quite a few harebrained schemes in order to attain the elusive Mew. The most popular method is by going to Vermilion City, stopping by the SS Anne, and visiting the truck parked next to it. There you would use a Pokemon with either Strength or Cut, but since when you go there the first time, you don't have a Pokemon with any of those abilities, you'd have to trade with a friend to get the necessary Pokemon. The fun thing about that, though, is you can waste a lot of time and not get anything out of it, because it doesn't work. Number 9, Mass Effect 3's indoctrination theory. Now, a lot of people wanted an explanation for the ending of Mass Effect 3, and thanks to the human imagination, they came up with a justification for it. Now, in Mass Effect, people can be indoctrinated by the Reapers, who are the antagonists of the game. Essentially, it involves their minds being taken, and eventually their bodies. Many people believed that Commander Shepard had been indoctrinated, and that the whole ending of the game was just in his head. Everyone got all hot and bothered and ran a campaign as well. They put more effort into that than they did, having clean air. So BioWare made an update that made the ending more clear, and it turns out the indoctrination theory was not the case. To this day, people are still actually pretty sore about this. Number 8, Squall is dead in Final Fantasy VIII. At the end of the first disc, Squall is impaled by a spike while fighting Edea, who's a big, powerful sorceress and, frankly, has some pretty weird goals. Stopping time, for instance. When the second disc begins, Squall has no injuries at all. Also, much weirder stuff starts happening. But honestly, we're starting to deal with a lot more magic-oriented things and plots with weird motives and time getting messed with. And the people that believe in this theory believe that all of this is a hallucination. Now, I've beaten this game, and I've seen the end, and it's weird as hell. In fact, the whole game is weird as hell, except for the first disc. And if you want me to be completely honest, I think that it's just a game that's weird as hell. I think they were experimenting with storytelling, wanted to do something that hadn't been done before. I think that this is kind of like Mass Effect 3 in that people weren't really willing to accept that it was just a convoluted, strange, or not completely realized story. Final Fantasy has a lot of stories that can sound very similar on the outside, except for with Final Fantasy VIII. And I think that there's a reason for that. Number 7, blowing cartridges. Way back in the day, when a game didn't work, sometimes you felt the need to blow into them in order to get dust away from it. And the game manuals even said blowing into the cartridge can damage it. That said, did it work or did it not? There's not really a clear answer, as we don't really have to deal with this problem anymore. There's not exactly ongoing research. The way a cartridge worked was a lot of metal connections, and if dust got in between them, in theory it could stop it. And a good way to get rid of dust is blowing it off. And I guess in theory it's also possible that you could damage it, because when you blow air at a cartridge you're also blowing moisture at it. And in theory that could lead to a short in a connection, which could screw everything up. So harmless, harmful? Really, there's a lot of evidence both ways, and it's tough to make a call. I'd encourage you to weigh the options yourself and leave a comment with what you think. Number 6, Deus Ex predicting 9/11. In the year 2000, when the game was released, obviously the World Trade Centers were still there. In the game, however, they are missing from the New York skyline. A lot of people have made theories thinking that it's possible that they just found it likely for a terrorist attack, and in-world they would have been subject to a previous terrorist attack, and still others just say that it's an alternate New York where that doesn't even exist anyway. But the absolute truth is, the developers actually had to crop the skyline to fit the limitations of the game's engine. So really it's kind of an accidental prediction. Still, it's one of those weird ones. Number 5, Bigfoot in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. When San Andreas first came out, it only took a week for a rumor to appear that Bigfoot was in it. Rockstar denied that Bigfoot was in the game, but playfully hinted that something was out in the wilderness, and so gamers began to search, some would say obsessively, to find something. The joke was on them, though. Bigfoot actually wasn't out there. They said that he wasn't in the game, and they weren't lying. But a lot of people logged a lot of hours looking. Bigfoot was actually added to Los Santos for Grand Theft Auto 5 as a tribute to the myth. It was definitely a gotcha good moment from Rockstar. Number 4, Herobrine in Minecraft. After Minecraft had been out a little while, a story started circulating about a mysterious figure spawning in the single-player modes that would follow the player around. The figure looked exactly like the default character in Minecraft, except without pupils. It turns out this rumor did not actually come from it happening in Minecraft, but rather a creepypasta, which is basically like homemade Goosebumps, except a lot shorter. Number 3, Naked Lara Croft. In 1996, Tomb Raider was released, and though it was an extremely innovative game, a lot of people tended to focus on, well, on Lara Croft. And part of that focus was because there was a rumor you could enter in a secret code and, well, she'd be nude. Now this was the early days of the internet. People like to use the internet for the opposite of debunking things, and the rumor really spread around fast. And since it wasn't true, there were a lot of disappointed teenage boys. Eventually a modder just got sick of the idea they couldn't have what they wanted and, well, made a mod. Number 2, why the hell does Nintendo manage to release bug-free games when everyone else can't? Short answer is Nintendo finishes their work before they say it's finished. The long answer is their quality assurance department takes a lot longer and actually spends a lot of time troubleshooting the games before the company is comfortable releasing them. Now in the world of AAA game development, the only people who really matter if they're comfortable about a release are the stockholders and the board of directors. And while that's definitely true to a degree in Nintendo, the shareholders and the board of directors both kind of want the games to be complete. Essentially, it's about a willingness to spend the time fixing everything. Nintendo doesn't consider their responsibility to release a new game every single year. Instead, they consider it their responsibility to release games that don't have issues. And finally, number 1 is Diablo's secret cow level. In Diablo 1, supposedly if you performed a complicated series of actions, you would eventually get a portal that opened up to a level that was essentially cow demons. People made it seem like they had experienced it by photoshopping the red portal that quote-unquote opened up, as well as the level itself by using monsters that weren't actually in the game. When Diablo 2 came out, the rumor had become so popular that they did actually add a cow level. Blizzard, though, to this day still loves that rumor. So if you happen to have any weird myths you'd like to share or want to discuss ours, please leave a comment. Also, don't forget to click like. It helps us immensely. If you aren't subscribed, make sure you subscribe because we upload videos daily, and the easiest way to see them first is a subscription. We thank you an absolute ton for watching this video, and as always, we will see you next time here on gameranx.